Welcome back to my series on oil pastels. In this second video, we are going to go through 6 techniques, so I'm marking off 6 sections in my sketchbook. I'm doing that with painter's tape. Something that you can do if you don't have painter's tape and you have a stronger tape is to take the tape and actually put it onto your clothes so it starts to pick up some of the lint maybe off your sweater or your jeans, and then it has less of a sticky quality and it's less likely to pull and rip the paper when you remove the tape. So also to get set up, I have a cover sheet down and I also have a brush to wipe away some of the crumbs that develop with oil pastels. For each of my sections, I am going to use an analogous color scheme, which means colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. You can also think of it as warm and cool colors as well. In our first box, we are going to show you some smooth blending. The way to get a smooth blended ombre type effect is to layer underneath each color. So you're going to increase the pressure to show more of the color and decrease it to show less, but they need to be layered underneath each other. So even though I'm starting with red and I am moving to orange, there still is a little bit of red underneath the orange. This creates a more blended layer. But don't press too hard, because if you press too hard, the colors won't blend. There's only so much that they can adhere to each other before they won't mix anymore. In our next box, we are going to do some stippling, which means making small marks that build up over time to create an illusion that they are blended. Impressionists really loved to do this to create some really beautiful landscape paintings. So dark areas apply more marks, more pressure, and are closer together, while light areas have less marks and more space in between those marks. But just like when we are doing smooth blending in our other box, you use less pressure and more space when you are trying to build up on the surface in order to blend the colors together. For the third box, I'm going to show you something that's completely unique with oil pastels than any other art material, and that's the fact that we can layer and scratch into it. So begin by blending your colors, maybe 2 colors, just like we did with box number 1, and create a nice smooth blending to build off of. Then make sure that that layer is fully blended and completely adhered to the paper, because we are going to add a dark color on top. I use black, and I'm going to completely cover my layering on my underlayer. And I want this top layer to be nice and smooth. And now I'm going to take a scratch tool. That can be a bamboo stick or a toothpick, whatever can scratch into this surface. So as I scratch into it, I'm going to make some hatch marks, and you can see that it reveals the color underneath. You can draw an image or a design, whatever it is that you want to do, but pay attention to how the colors reveal themselves underneath. This could be something you create an entire art project with, or just understand as you're creating bigger oil pastel projects that if you make a mistake, you might be able to scratch some of that material off the page. For the fourth box, I am going to practice coloring in a movement. So I'm going to use curved lines. As you can see, that as you make some marks, you let each of those follow the movement in that curve. Also, in the video, you can see that I'm trying some different blending tools. I use a blending stump, but you can also try a Q-tip to blend your oil pastels. I also use the oil pastels and layer them together, and I use a piece of paper to clean off the tips of those oil pastels by rubbing away the other color before I go back into my artwork. In my fifth box, I build up the colors by creating hatching marks. These are marks made with lines. So just like with stippling, adjust the space in between the lines, the direction of the lines, and the pressure to build up your layers. In your last and final box, I wanted to give you an opportunity to learn how to create a highlight in your artwork using your white oil pastel. So like we've done in other areas, the pressure is decreased with the color in order to make room for the white oil pastel. We create a highlight by building up the white and layering over the top of the color. Now just know that your white will get dirty very easier than any other color. So make sure to use that scrap paper technique to clean your tip before using it in another area of your artwork. So there we have it. Now you've learned 6 new techniques of using oil pastels in your artwork to try in any type of artwork that you decide to use this wonderful art material, oil pastels.